plateau was quiet again, but the glowing soil hinted that the planet itself was still alive. The swarm had retreated, their leader neutralized, and the humans of the Aegis finally had a moment to breathe. Captain Elena Voss looked over her team, exhaustion on their faces, but determination in their eyes. "We did it," she said softly. "We survived, and we adapted. That's what makes us human." Dr. Liam Chen adjusted the portable analyzer, studying the remaining energy readings. "The swarm is still active, but without the leader, their coordination is broken. They can no longer adapt as quickly. We've gained the advantage." Lieutenant Marco Reyes scanned the horizon. Small clusters of swarm creatures moved erratically, unsure of their next step. "They're retreating, they're..." Confused, Elena nodded. "Good, but stay vigilant. They may regroup, and we don't know what else this planet holds. We need to learn from them, study them, and prepare for whatever comes next." The team worked together to secure their position, placing additional energy disruptors around the plateau to monitor and contain the swarm. Every pulse, every flicker of light from the glowing soil was analyzed. They were cautious, knowing that the swarm, though defeated for now, was still intelligent and watching. Dr. Chen looked up from his console. "It's incredible. We faced an intelligence that adapts faster than anything we've ever encountered. And yet humans survived because we thought differently. We improvised, we took risks, and we adapted. That's the difference." Elena placed a hand on his shoulder. "Exactly. The swarm didn't expect creativity. They didn't expect courage. Humans aren't just strong or fast. We survive because we think, and that's what they'll never understand." As night fell, the glowing object on the plateau pulsed faintly, a reminder that the planet and its swarm were still alive, still aware. But for the humans, the immediate danger was over. They had faced an enemy unlike any other, and they had won, not with brute force, but with ingenuity, strategy, and teamwork. Outside, the faint hum of the object carried through the air almost like a heartbeat. The swarm, leaderless and disoriented, began to retreat further into the plateau. The humans knew this wasn't the end, but it was a victory worth celebrating. Elena looked at her crew, pride shining in her eyes. "We came here to explore, to understand, and to survive. And we've done all three. Humans are clever, adaptable, and resilient. We've faced something that could have destroyed us, and we prevailed." Dr. Chen smiled, exhaustion mixed with awe. "It's not just survival. It's a reminder of what humans are capable of. Intelligence, courage, and creativity. That's our real strength." Marco lowered his scanner, still scanning the plateau, but now with a sense of relief. "They may be dangerous, but we've shown them something too. They can't predict us. They don't understand humans." Elena nodded. "And that's the point. No matter how smart the enemy, humans have something they can't anticipate. The ability to think, to adapt, to outsmart. That's why we survive. That's why we thrive. That's why we endure." The Aegis crew took a moment to rest, watching the glowing horizon. Sparks of light danced across the plateau as the swarm slowly moved deeper into the terrain. Their collective intelligence still active, still alive. But for now, the humans had turned the tide. They had faced an impossible enemy, survived, and left their mark on the planet. Elena's voice was quiet but firm. "We'll return and we'll study them further. But today, we prove something vital. No matter how strange, dangerous, or intelligent the enemy, humans will endure. We survive because we think differently, because we never stop adapting, and because we never give up." A faint wind carried the pulsing hum of the object across the plateau, echoing through the minds of the humans. They felt both the awe and the fear of what lay ahead, but also a deep pride in themselves. They were humans, ingenious, brave, and unstoppable. As the Aegis lifted off, leaving the plateau behind, the humans looked out at the glowing horizon. The swarm may have survived, but so had the humans. And in that moment, far from Earth, on a distant and alien world, they realized something profound. No matter the threat, no matter the danger, no matter the unknown, the human spirit endures. Humans survive, humans adapt, humans prevail. And the universe, vast and uncharted, had just witnessed what it truly meant to face human ingenuity. The plateau was quiet for only a moment. The swarm had retreated to regroup, but the humans knew it was only temporary. Captain Elena Voss tightened her grip on the console. They're regrouping. That's our chance. We find the leader before they come back. Dr. Liam Chen adjusted the sensors. The leader emits stronger energy pulses than the rest. If we follow those readings, we can track it to its location. Lieutenant Marco Reyes frowned. And if it leads us into a trap? Elena shook her head. Then we adapt. Humans survive because we think differently. That's what makes us dangerous. The team moved cautiously across the glowing soil, following the energy signals. The terrain was uneven and treacherous, with jagged ridges and deep crevices glowing with faint light. Every shadow seemed alive, every flicker in the distance a possible threat. Suddenly, a faint hum filled the air. The swarm had noticed them. Tiny creatures skittered across the ground ahead, forming a living path that seemed to guide, or lure, the humans deeper into the plateau. Elena narrowed her eyes. Stay alert. Watch every movement. Don't react, observe. They advanced carefully, triggering traps and decoy pulses to slow the swarm. The creatures adapted quickly, climbing over rocks, leaping and swarming in waves. Every time humans thought they had a clear path, the swarm altered its pattern. Dr. Chen muttered, "They're learning too fast. We need a better plan." Elena looked at him, her eyes sharp. "Then we create unpredictability. Split up, flank them from multiple angles, force them to make mistakes." The team moved as one, but coordinated in separate paths to surround the swarm. The larger creatures appeared, scanning the humans' movements. Then, in a blur of motion, one of the small scouts darted toward Marco. He fired a pulse to intercept it, barely avoiding a sting that sizzled along his arm. "Keep moving," Elena shouted. "Focus on the signals. That's our path to the leader." Finally, they reached a narrow canyon, the energy readings spiking. "Here," Dr. Chen whispered. "The leader is close, but it's heavily guarded." From the shadows, the swarm surged, larger creatures forming a protective wall around the glowing leader. The leader itself was massive, with a chitin shell that shimmered brighter than the rest, moving with intelligence and authority. It paused, as if sensing the humans' arrival. Elena's mind raced. "We need a distraction. Marco, deploy decoys here. Chen, disrupt their signals. I'll go for the leader's weak point." Energy pulses and decoys went flying. The swarm hesitated, momentarily confused. Elena dashed forward, careful to avoid the swarming creatures. Her hands worked quickly, placing energy disruptors in precise positions around the leader. But the swarm adapted faster than anticipated. A wave of small creatures surged toward her. She dodged, leapt, and fired pulses, keeping them at bay. Sparks flew, the air filled with hissing and shrieks, and the glowing canyon seemed alive with movement. One of the creatures lunged for Dr. Chen, but Marco intercepted it, firing with precision. "We can do this," Marco shouted, adrenaline pumping through him. Elena reached the leader, her pulse racing. The creature's energy pulsed rhythmically, and she realized its pattern was predictable if observed carefully. With careful timing, she deployed the final disruptor directly at the leader's core energy pulse. The leader screeched, a sound that echoed across the canyon. The swarm froze, confused, their coordination disrupted. Humans had found their edge, their ingenuity and ability to think unpredictably, but just as they felt victory, a new vibration rippled through the canyon. The leader wasn't defeated yet. Its pulse surged stronger, sending a wave of energy that knocked the humans off balance. Elena stumbled but regained her footing. "Stay focused," she yelled. "We adapt, we improvise. Humans survive because we don't follow the rules, we make them." The swarm hesitated again, giving humans a brief window. Dr. Chen's fingers flew over the analyzer. "If we time this right, we can force the leader into a trap and neutralize it completely." Elena nodded. "Then we do it. Together. Humans survive because we fight smarter, not just harder. Let's finish this." Outside, the swarm pulsed and shifted, still intelligent, still dangerous. But the humans were relentless, their minds sharper than the swarm's instincts. The chase had reached its climax, and the outcome would decide who truly controlled the plateau. And for the first time, humans felt the thrill and fear of facing an enemy that could learn, and the pride of knowing that their ingenuity could match even the most intelligent alien threat. The narrow canyon echoed with the hum of the swarm's energy. Captain Elena Voss crouched behind a jagged rock, eyes locked on the glowing leader. Its shell shimmered with power, each pulse sending ripples of light across the surrounding swarm. Hundreds of smaller creatures surrounded it, moving as one, their every motion deliberate and calculated. Elena took a deep breath. "This is it," she whispered. "The swarm leader decides everything. We succeed here, or we fail entirely." Dr. Liam Chen adjusted the portable analyzer. Its energy pulses are rhythmic. If we disrupt them precisely, we can neutralize the leader without harming the rest of the planet's ecosystem. But timing is critical. Lieutenant Marco Reyes nodded, gripping his laser scanner tightly. "Let's show them humans don't just fight, we think." Elena signaled the team forward. They advanced carefully, using the canyon walls for cover. Every step had to be measured. One wrong move, and the swarm could adapt instantly, overwhelming them. The leader's pulse grew stronger as they approached, as if sensing their intent. Suddenly, a wave of smaller creatures surged forward, testing the humans' defenses. Marco fired precise pulses, keeping them at bay, while Elena moved closer to the leader. Sparks flew, the air vibrating with the hiss of thousands of tiny bodies. The humans had to maintain perfect coordination, or they would be overrun. Dr. Chen called out, "Now, disrupt the pulse, aim for the core." Elena placed the disruptor carefully at the center of the leader's energy pattern. The machine hummed, matching the rhythm of the creature's pulse. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the leader screeched, a sound that echoed like a storm across the canyon. Its glow faltered, and the surrounding swarm froze. The humans held their ground, waiting for the reaction. Sparks flickered from the disruptor as it emitted a controlled wave of energy, interfering with the leader's command signals. The swarm twitched in confusion, small creatures hesitating, their coordination disrupted. Elena's voice rang out, steady and commanding. "We're humans. We survive because we think differently, we adapt, we improvise. That's what makes us strong." The leader pulsed again, stronger this time, but the humans had anticipated it. They adjusted the disruptor, countering the surge, matching the rhythm precisely. Slowly, the leader weakened. Its glow dimmed, its movements faltering. The swarm seemed lost without its guiding pulse. Dr. Chen smiled, exhaustion in his eyes. "It's working." They're confused. They don't know what to do without the leader directing them, but victory was not yet certain. The leader made a desperate attempt, sending a massive energy wave across the canyon. Elena braced herself, shielding the team. Sparks danced in the air as pulses collided. The canyon seemed alive, threatening to swallow them. "Hold the line," Elena shouted. "We're not just fighting, it's a test." And humans pass tests. Marco fired another precision shot, disrupting the wave. Dr. Chen adjusted the disruptor again. Slowly, carefully, the leader's energy pulse faltered. Its shriek faded into a low hum. The swarm wavered, disoriented, then retreated, flowing back toward the object at the center of the plateau. Elena exhaled, adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "We've done it for now, but they'll regroup, and we'll have to be ready." Dr. Chen nodded. "We proved something important today. Humans are clever. We can survive and overcome challenges that no other species can. The swarm underestimated us." Elena looked at her team, bruised and exhausted, but alive. This is humanity at its best. Quick thinking, courage, and adaptability. We didn't rely on brute strength alone. We survived because we used our minds. That's what makes us different. That's what they never expected. Outside the canyon, the swarm regrouped around the object, still intelligent, still dangerous, but shaken. The leader had been neutralized for now, and the humans had established their dominance, not through violence alone, but through strategy and ingenuity. A faint hum echoed through the plateau, a reminder that this was not the end. The swarm was still out there, learning, adapting, waiting for another chance. But the humans had survived their first confrontation with the alien intelligence, and they had done it on their own terms. Elena's eyes scanned the horizon. "We've won this battle, but the war isn't over. This planet, this swarm, it's bigger than we imagined, and we're just getting started." For the first time, the team allowed themselves a brief moment of pride. They had faced the unknown, a living intelligence that could adapt faster than any predator, and they had survived. The swarm might return, stronger and smarter, but humans had something the swarm could never predict: the power of creativity, courage, and the will to endure. And on this distant planet, The crew of the Aegis realized something important. Being human wasn't just about surviving, it was about thinking, innovating, and standing against the impossible. The sky above the plateau darkened as more shadows began to move across the glowing soil. From a distance, it looked like a ripple in the light. But as the Aegis hovered closer, the crew could see the full horror of what they were facing. Hundreds, no thousands, of small insect-like creatures were emerging from the terrain. Each one glimmered with faint bioluminescence, their chitin bodies reflecting the alien light of the planet. Captain Elena Voss took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "Everyone, this is not a drill. Prepare for contact. Defensive positions now." Lieutenant Marco Reyes grabbed a laser scanner, keeping his eyes on the approaching swarm. The creatures moved with perfect coordination, shifting, splitting, and reforming as if guided by a single mind. Dr. Liam Chen's scanner beeped frantically. "They're intelligent. More than we imagined. Look at how they move like a single organism." Elena's gaze hardened. "Then we need to be smarter, faster. Humans adapt, we improvise. Let's show them what that means." The first wave of creatures reached the landing zone. They were small, no bigger than a human hand, but there were too many to count. They swarmed toward the ship in perfect formation, their movements quick and unpredictable. The crew fired warning shots, energy pulses that cracked the air, but the swarm did not falter. Some creatures dodged with incredible agility, others bounced harmlessly off the ship's hull. Dr. Chen grabbed a portable energy scanner, trying to analyze their patterns. "They're not attacking randomly. Every move is calculated. They're learning from us, adjusting their strategy in real time." Elena glanced at her crew, determination in her eyes. "Then we force them to think differently. We need to outsmart them, confuse them, and make them hesitate. Humans aren't predictable. That's our advantage." The swarm split, circling the ship from all sides. Marco shouted, "They're surrounding us. We need to retreat." Elena shook her head. "No, we hold. Use the terrain. Force them into traps." She pointed toward a ridge near the plateau's edge. "Lure them there. That narrow pass can slow them down." With careful coordination, the crew guided the swarm toward the ridge. It worked momentarily. The creatures hesitated as the space narrowed, giving humans a brief chance to strike. Energy pulses and laser beams lit up the landscape, flashes reflecting off the swarm's shiny bodies. But just as they thought they had the advantage, the swarm adapted. The creatures began climbing over each other, forming living bridges, flowing over the ridge with a terrifying intelligence. The humans' confidence faltered. This was unlike any enemy they had faced. No weaknesses, no fear, only relentless coordination. One of the creatures, larger than the rest and glowing brighter, advanced toward the humans. It seemed to lead the swarm, directing their movements. Dr. Chen stepped back, whispering, "It's a leader. Or a queen. Whatever it is, it's controlling the others." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we take it down. That's the key. But we do it carefully. One wrong move, and the swarm adapts too fast." Suddenly, a smaller creature darted past Marco, skimming his leg. He barely avoided a sting that sizzled against his suit. The swarm wasn't just intelligent. It was fast, precise, and deadly. Panic tried to creep in, but Elena slammed her fist on the console. "Focus. Humans survive because we think. We don't just react, we plan, we improvise, we endure." Dr. Chen grabbed a portable analyzer. "If we can study the swarm's communication signals, maybe we can disrupt them. We can't fight them head-on. They'll learn too fast." Elena nodded. "Do it, Marco, cover him. I'll coordinate the defense. Every second counts." As the humans worked, the swarm shifted, closing in. The plateau echoed with the hiss of thousands of tiny creatures moving as one. For the first time, the crew realized the sheer scale of the threat. They were not merely being attacked. They were being tested, observed, and measured. Then a surge of energy radiated from the glowing object. The swarm paused, shivering in unison as if receiving a signal. The humans noticed the pause, and Elena seized the moment. "Now, strike the object with everything we've got." "Distract them!" Energy pulses shot toward the object. Sparks flew, and the largest creature screeched in a high-pitched wail. The swarm faltered, confused. Humans had found their first edge, not strength, not speed, but strategy. Yet even in victory, Elena knew this was only the beginning. The swarm was smart, relentless, and adaptive, and the humans, clever and courageous as they were, had only just scratched the surface of the challenge that awaited them. Outside the ship, the swarm regrouped, moving like liquid over the glowing soil. The object pulsed once, twice, sending waves of energy across the plateau. And deep inside the pulse, the humans could feel a silent, terrifying intelligence watching their every move. The real battle had only begun. The plateau was a chaos of light and movement. The swarm had regrouped, their numbers seeming endless, and yet the humans had survived the first encounter. Captain Elena Voss stood at the ship's control panel, her eyes scanning the horizon. "They're smart, yes," she said, "but humans are smarter. Let's show them what that means." Dr. Liam Chen nodded, already plotting a strategy on his portable tablet. "The swarm adapts quickly. If we keep reacting, we'll lose. But if we set the rules, we might control their movements." Elena turned to Lieutenant Marco Reyes. "You and I will set traps along the ridge. Use the terrain to our advantage. The swarm can learn fast, but they can't think outside the patterns we create." The humans worked quickly, using whatever the planet offered. They built barriers from glowing rocks, improvised energy nets, and set decoy pulses to lure the swarm. The creatures were clever, yes, but humans had ingenuity. Unpredictable, flexible, creative thinking that no alien intelligence could anticipate. As the first wave approached, the humans triggered a series of energy traps. Swarm creatures were diverted, slowed, and even confused by the barriers. Sparks and light flashed across the ridge as the swarm tried to adapt. Dr. Chen called out, "It's working. They're hesitating. The traps are forcing them into narrow passes." Elena smiled grimly. "Good, keep it going. Remember, they learn fast. We need to change the pattern before they adapt completely." Suddenly, a new challenge arose. The swarm split, moving in ways the humans hadn't predicted. Small creatures began climbing the barriers, others burrowed through the soil, and the air filled with high-pitched shrieks. Elena's heart pounded, but she remained calm. "Humans survive because they think," she reminded herself. "We improvise," she said, pointing at a glowing ridge. "Marco, deploy the decoy pulse there." "Chen, focus on analyzing their response. I'll coordinate the defense." The humans' plan worked. The swarm, thrown off by the decoy, collided with barriers and each other, creating openings. Humans used those gaps to move forward, striking with energy pulses to keep the creatures at bay. As the battle continued, Dr. Chen noticed something important. They're communicating through light patterns and vibrations. If we disrupt the rhythm, we can create confusion across the entire swarm. Elena's eyes lit up. "Then we do it. Target the pulses, disrupt their signals. Make them hesitate long enough for us to take the next step." The humans adjusted their devices and fired a series of controlled pulses. The swarm faltered. Creatures paused mid-motion, blinked in disorientation, and hesitated in groups. The humans pressed forward, taking advantage of the chaos, but the fight was not without cost. One of the team's engineers, Jara Lin, was caught in a sudden surge of swarm creatures. Marco jumped, firing energy pulses, pulling her back just in time. She stumbled, shaken but alive. Elena placed a hand on her shoulder. "Good reflexes. We survived together." The swarm, however, was learning even in confusion. Larger creatures began observing human movements, coordinating counterattacks. Dr. Chen frowned. "This is different. They're adapting to our adaptation. If we don't find their weak point, this will never end." Elena studied the swarm, thinking, "Weak point. Perhaps it's the leader, the biggest one. If we can neutralize it, the rest might scatter." Dr. Chen nodded. "Yes, but reaching it won't be easy. The swarm protects it fiercely. Any misstep, and it's over." Elena took a deep breath, her resolve firm. "Humans are clever, resourceful, and brave. We've survived worse. We'll reach it, and we'll win. Not because we're stronger, but because we think differently." That's what they never expect. Outside, the swarm regrouped, sensing the humans' strategy. But the humans were ready, their minds sharper than the swarm's instincts. Energy traps, decoy pulses, and clever positioning gave them the upper hand for the first time. As night fell over the glowing plateau, the humans paused for a brief moment of respite. Their clothes were scorched, hands bruised, and hearts racing. But they had proven something important. that human ingenuity could match even the most intelligent alien threat. Elena looked at her team. We've bought time, but the real test is ahead. We need to find the leader, and we need to act fast. The swarm is learning, and we cannot let them control this planet. Or us. The wind carried the faint hum of the object across the plateau, a reminder that this was not just a battle of strength, it was a battle of minds. The humans had survived the first wave, but the swarm was still out there, watching, adapting, and preparing. And the humans, they were just getting started. The stars stretched endlessly across the dark sky as the small human exploration ship, Aegis, descended toward the planet below. Its surface was unlike anything the crew had ever seen, shimmering in strange colors, with jagged mountains that glowed faintly, as if lit from within. The sensors aboard the Aegis picked up unusual energy readings, but nothing the scientists could identify. Captain Elena Voss gripped the edge of her seat, her eyes fixed on the viewport.
"Prepare for landing," she ordered.
Her voice was calm, but inside a knot of tension twisted in her stomach. This mission was meant to be simple, a survey of a remote, uninhabited planet. But the readings were far from normal. The landing gear touched the planet's surface with a soft thud, kicking up clouds of iridescent dust. The crew stepped out into the alien landscape, their boots sinking slightly into the soft, glowing soil. The air was breathable, surprisingly, but carried a faint metallic scent that made the back of their throats tingle. Dr. Liam Chen, the lead scientist, bent down to examine the soil. "There's some kind of energy here," he said, tapping his portable scanner. "It's alive. I don't know how else to describe it." As they walked toward the first area of interest, something on the horizon caught Elena's eye. A structure, or maybe an object, stood alone on a distant plateau. It was angular, unlike any natural formation, and it seemed to pulse faintly with light. "See that?" she asked. The crew turned, eyes wide. None of their charts had predicted anything like it. They approached cautiously. The closer they got, the more they realized it wasn't just glowing. It seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting in rhythm. Dr. Chen raised his hand to stop them. "This is extraordinary," he whispered. "Whatever this is, it's not natural. It might even be intelligent." Suddenly, a pulse of energy shot out from the object, and their senses screamed in alarm. The air shimmered around them, and for a moment they felt dizzy. Some of the crew staggered, clutching their heads. Elena steadied herself, squinting at the strange device. "What the hell is it doing?" asked Lieutenant Marco Reyes, his voice tense. Before anyone could answer, the object released a soft hum, almost like a whisper. It resonated inside their chests, vibrating in a way that felt both thrilling and terrifying. Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. "Keep your distance," she ordered. As they circled the object, Dr. Chen pointed his scanner at it. The screen flickered wildly, numbers and symbols flashing too fast to read. "It's sending a signal," he said, astonished. "Some kind of message, but I can't decode it." The team exchanged nervous glances. No human technology had ever emitted a signal like this, and whatever it was, it seemed to be waiting, watching. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. Small cracks appeared, glowing with the same energy as the object. The crew took a step back, but the trembling grew stronger. Elena's heart raced. "Everyone back to the ship now." They ran, boots pounding on the alien soil. Just as they reached the safety of the Aegis, a massive wave of energy rippled across the plateau. The object pulsed brightly one last time, then went silent. Inside the ship, the crew caught their breath. The hum had stopped, but the feeling of unease remained. "What did we just wake up?" whispered Dr. Chen. Elena stared out the viewport at the distant plateau, now eerily still. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I have a feeling we're not alone on this planet. And whatever this is, it's only the beginning." As the ship prepared for its first survey of the planet, a tiny flicker of movement appeared near the object. It was so small they almost didn't see it, a shadow darting just out of sight. But Elena noticed, her eyes narrowed. "Get ready," she said, "because something is coming, and I think it knows we're here." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying the faint hum of the object through the glowing air. The planet was alive, and it was waiting for them. In that moment, none of them could imagine the swarm that would soon descend. The unknown life forms of this world were clever, relentless, and terrifyingly intelligent. And the humans, for all their courage and ingenuity, had just stepped into the first chapter of a battle that would test everything they thought they knew about survival, strategy, and the limits of human spirit. The Aegis hovered silently above the glowing soil, its engines buzzing softly. Inside, the crew gathered around Dr. Chen, who was studying the readings from the mysterious object they had discovered. The pulse, the hum, the energy, it was all still active, and somehow it seemed to be communicating. "Look at this," Dr. Chen said, pointing at the scanner. "Lines of data move too fast to follow. It's a signal. Definitely a signal. But it's not like any frequency we know. It's alive." Captain Elena Voss frowned, her hands gripping the edge of the console. "Alive? You mean it's intelligent?" Dr. Chen hesitated, then nodded.
Possibly.
"Whatever created this object knew exactly how to reach us. And it's watching." Lieutenant Marco Reyes shifted uneasily. "Watching us? That's creepy. Are we talking surveillance or something worse?" Before anyone could answer, a soft vibration filled the ship. The instruments started flickering and the hum returned, low and almost musical. The crew instinctively covered their ears as the vibration resonated through their bones. Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "It's trying to communicate, maybe even manipulate us. I can't explain it, but I feel like it's talking directly to me." Elena narrowed her eyes. "Everyone stay focused. We don't know what this thing is capable of." Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected movement across the plateau. Tiny flashes of motion, too fast, too coordinated to be natural. The crew tensed. Something was moving, and it was moving with purpose. "Shadows," Marco muttered, pointing toward the object on the horizon. "Something's out there." The crew watched in silence as small shapes began to emerge from the glowing terrain. At first, they seemed like rocks moving in the wind, but soon their shapes became clearer. Hundreds of tiny insect-like creatures crawled across the soil, each one shining faintly under the planet's eerie light. Dr. Chen swallowed hard. "They're organized. Look at how they move. There's no way this is random." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Stay calm. Do not engage. We observe, we report, and we survive." But the swarm did not seem to notice them, at least not yet. The creatures moved with a purpose, circling the object as if guarding it. Then, without warning, a wave of energy shot from the object again, and the creatures froze. The hum inside the ship grew louder, almost deafening, vibrating in perfect rhythm with the object's pulses. Dr. Chen clutched his head. "It's affecting us. The signal, we can feel it. It's influencing our thoughts, our perceptions. It's communicating in a way we can't even understand." Elena clenched her fists. "Focus on what we know. Take readings, analyze, stay alert. This is a first contact situation, not a horror story." But even as she spoke, a strange vision flickered across her mind, visions of the planet's surface changing, strange structures rising, the swarm moving as one. It lasted only seconds, but it left her shaken. Something about the signal was intelligent, probing, testing them. Marco stepped forward, scanning the horizon. "Captain, more of them are coming. They're not just around the object, they're spreading. I think they've noticed us." Elena's stomach tightened. "Then we prepare. This isn't just a survey anymore. We're not observers, we're targets." Suddenly, the largest of the insect-like creatures broke away from the swarm. It moved with terrifying speed, a blur of shining chitin heading straight toward their landing zone. The crew froze, then reacted instinctively. Marco grabbed a laser scanner while Elena ordered, "Take defensive positions. Protect the ship." The creature stopped abruptly, hovering a few meters from them, then emitted a high-pitched shriek. The signal pulsed through the ship again, stronger this time, and every crew member felt a sudden wave of fear, panic, and adrenaline. Dr. Chen's hands trembled as he typed commands into his tablet. "It's communicating through fear. It's testing us, gauging our reactions. We have to remain calm. We have to outthink it." Elena took a deep breath, gripping the controls. "Listen to me. We don't panic. Humans are clever, adaptable. We survive, we fight, and we learn. That's what makes us strong. That's what they don't expect. The creature hissed again, but for a moment it seemed to hesitate. Elena noticed something in its movement, slight confusion. The swarm was intelligent, yes, but humans were thinking differently. Faster, unpredictable, creative. We need to study the object more, Dr. Chen said urgently. If we can decode the signal, maybe we can understand them before it's too late. Elena nodded. Then we work fast. And remember, whatever happens, the survival of the crew depends on our minds, our courage, and our choices. We are humans. We adapt. Outside, the swarm shifted, still watching, still learning. The object pulsed again, sending another whisper of the signal through their minds. The first contact had begun, and the humans realized with a mixture of fear and determination. They were not just visitors on this planet. They were part of an experiment, a challenge, a test, and the swarm was waiting, watching and learning, just like the humans were learning to survive.